us a little bit of her journey and how this has shaped the person she is and what she has for the young innovators and entrepreneurs that we have in the room. A round of applause for Dr. Monique Sands, ladies and gentlemen.
Expert in asking questions. This is a complicated one, tricky one. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Monique Sands, but to make your life easy, call me just Monique or Dr. Monique. The other one is a sentence. Don't bother trying. I'm Deputy Governor at the Central Bank of Rwanda for the last 7 years or so. Before that, I was Minister of Trade for 3 years, and then Minister of State for Economic Planning prior to that. I was appointed Minister of State in the Cabinet of Rwanda when I was age 32. I don't tell the year so that you don't know my age. And actually today is my birthday. Thank you. Don't ask me how old I am. Sorry? Oh, okay. I'm 47. Yeah. Okay. When I started, I was fresh graduate from Stellenbosch University. I was assistant lecturer in my National University of Rwanda as an economist, and then I was appointed. The first question I asked myself was, why me? Not anything, I would say. Young, unexperienced. I've always been in studies. How do I find myself in political life? And, but I always have this principle I hold dear, that there is always a purpose in what happens to me. And I needed to really search hard and find that purpose. And I said to myself, I'm going to do this job. I'm going to learn from my elders I'm going to find there, my colleagues. I'm going to be a great team player. I'm going to be humble. I'm going to really listen to my heart and let my heart guide me what I have to do. Because I know God speaks to me through my heart. I don't know whether I have done it fairly well, so far so good. But really what I give is what I think is the best I can give. So, do you have questions?
Doctor, apparently the whole idea is you get to share with the entrepreneurs some of the struggles, the challenges that you went through or that you go through every day, just to inspire them to actually become better at their job.
Okay, I think I will always give one example. When I was Minister of Trade, and there was this issue of conservation, national parks, and animals in our parks go damage crops and even lives, attacking people in the neighborhoods of the parks. That was really the most scary situation I faced. And it was really highly politically sensitive. All the angles you look at it, it was sensitive. And how do you solve this problem? I think in life, difficult problems will always be there. And you find yourself in situations where you wonder if you will ever get out of them. But what I learned is really you always have solutions in really putting your heads together with your teammates, your collaborators, the stakeholders. Because really the answers are in the air, but you need to harness them. And harness them through genuinely sharing the problem, and really letting the innovative, creative spirit come up. Because really people can be innovative around. And I remember through different processes, trial and errors, we come up with a mechanism of really having that part insured and compensation scheme put in place. That is not like any other compensation scheme. It's kind of really based on insurance principles, I would say. And now we have one of our insurance companies actually helping government to deal with that issue, and you just pay premiums on behalf of the animals. That was one. So what I learned is like, you really need to work as a team if you have to really solve very difficult and complex problems, and you have to really innovate. Don't necessarily look around the usual things you know or you've been doing. You need to really dare challenge the status quo and face the unknown with the confidence or hope that some things can come. You need to take risks. So that's one I can share. It's very difficult to share something that can be, you find it interesting. So that's why I'm asking if you have a really specific question that can guide me, push me to share more. Yeah, that would be welcome. Yes.
We'll take only one question, only one, as we have to wrap up. Thank you very much. Doctor, it's up to you to pick who you're taking the question from.
Very difficult. Can you give me two? And they share.
Okay, they will ask their question in 10 seconds.
Okay, the lady and the gentleman here. 10 seconds.
Thank you very much. My name is Miriam Sekonziza, student at the African Leadership University. We've heard from different people that we've been talking to in this rounds, being appointed to big responsibilities, appointed.
5 seconds.
What is it in your role that you do to notice young people, entrepreneurs that are able to do big responsibilities and support them to be where you are right now?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Igwami Aristide. I work for Rwanda Scout Association. I heard something about you when you graduated in South Africa. They told that, it says that Mr. President Thabo Mbeki called Kagame. I don't know if it's real, if it's
2 seconds.
Yeah, if it's that, why he called him about you?
No. I think that people just make up things. I actually don't know what happened, but I know, do I need to be referred by some other country's president? I don't think so. But I don't know what happened, but it's the first time I've heard that. And I can say maybe people just exaggerate or just make up stories around things happening. And by the way, our president is a very special president. At that time, I was the youngest, 32. But we have had 28, right? And even younger now, right? So, thank you for the question. On how, I think I get an opportunity always through stakeholders, like UN Women, like Ministry of Youth, like Ministry of Gender, like in financial inclusion, like in New Faces, New Voices, the chapter I chair. I get an opportunity one way or the other to really meet the young people. There is this network of professionals in Kigali, because I saw you spoke and I missed that one the other time. So I always find myself there. And I enjoy really relating and trying to share as much as I can know, and also to forge with colleagues programs that can empower them. Like today we are thinking of a leadership program for the women in the cadres in the financial institutions. Like for instance, I have a dream of helping my younger sisters and my sisters and myself. How do you, for instance, prepare for yourself yourself for an interview, because I have realized I don't know much, and I have to learn. And I assume others also don't know much. They have to learn. So we are going to be learning together. So that's how really, it happens almost naturally. I can't tell the tricks I do. Actually, I do nothing, but being available. I think that's what I do, being available. Thank you.
All right, the last question is here, please.
Oh.
And so if you can kindly give me the opportunity to ask the question.
Sir, could you apparently meet her for the free session? Because
it's just a plea, I beg you.
All right.
I was the first to raise my hand.
Please.
I'm Ibrahim Kamal from Ghana, and I'm going to use your 10 seconds. You've been given opportunity, or you were given opportunity at the age of 32, now 47. I'd like to also find out how many people or how many youth, if you can't give countable numbers, no problem, have you also given opportunity to also explore their talent as at now? Thank you.
Oh, how many? That's really public accountability. I can't tell how many. I have, because I don't have like a program, I know they enroll and then I can tick. It's really very, very difficult. Maybe people assess me on that. And my job is not actually to count numbers, because even it's one, that's important. But the numbers I've been following are the numbers in our network of women in finance. Today we have, they're not youth necessarily, they are youth, and ones with my age, others a little bit older than me, and we are 1,600 already in New Faces, New Voices Rwanda chapter. That's what I can know as a number, but otherwise I really don't know. Yeah.
All right, I think we thank you, Doctor, for your time.
Thank you.
Now, of course, a very big round of applause for her for sharing and all the inspiration. I'm telling you, you don't have to worry about finding a job next day. You don't have to work for the National Bank of Rwanda. You'll probably just start your financial, institution and, you'll grow it. Anyhow, so for the next one, allow me to say that we're only going to use 5 minutes and no questions, because we have a free session, and in that free session you're free to find this person and ask them as many questions as you want, provided the time you have. So allow me to call upon Mr. Ephraim Ramwenje. Please come. As he comes, I want him to be a challenge to all of you people in this room. He will tell his story. I don't want to be part of the people telling his story, but he is one of the only young Africans that have been part of the Forbes magazine, Forbes Africa. Yeah. Keep clapping. I can't hear you. All right. So Ephraim runs a business group in Rwanda. They have about 5 companies. Now, look at a young man that is across different sectors doing different things. You have a lot of challenges, you have overcome a lot of barriers, and these people are yearning to hear from you. All right.
How are you guys? Guys, aren't we youth? How are you? How are you? Yes. So my name is Ephraim. As he said, I have many companies, so I have many problems. But I'll try to keep it short, 5 minutes. I think one thing that I would want to share with you as probably my own takeaway is that structure and preparation is not mutually exclusive with innovation and creativity. And this is something a lot of young entrepreneurs need to be explained to or taught, that if you're going to run a business, you have to have structure and preparation. Now, I say this because in my own business journey, I can probably attest to 9 out of 10 times, or at least 9 out of 10 problems I had were directly linked to lack of structure and preparation. Now, when I talk about structure, I can give you very basic things. For example, accountability, at least financial accountability in an organization. So governance systems and structures if you're going to start a business, even if you're an innovator, even if you're going to try to think outside the box, you still need to have at least a structure to handle the financial accountability in your organization, as one example. And then preparation. Preparation is something that a lot of young entrepreneurs don't actually get explained or told about. Now, if I'm to ask any entrepreneur here who has failed, and you ask them about their first experience and a lot of the thoughts and assumptions they had about that business, they'll probably tell you that they were wrong. Now, that normally stems from, again, a lack of preparation. So you go in and you believe that the customer is going to pay you 100 francs. And why? It's because you think you have the best product in the world, you think you're the best developer in the world, you think that no one else has solved this problem, and you have come up with the greatest idea in the world. Am I preaching to the choir? Does anybody agree with me? So you believe this customer is going to pay 100 francs. You go to the customer, and the customer is like, I don't want to pay anything. Not even 10 francs. They're like, nope, I don't want to pay. I don't have that problem. I don't need it to be solved. And that normally comes because you haven't prepared. Now, I would say that the only thing more important than preparation is starting, but you shouldn't just also start, unless you're willing to lose whatever you start with. So, in conclusion, I have many problems. If you want to see me after the show, after after this, and we talk about it, I can tell you about all my problems. And I can share my experiences. But in conclusion, I'll just say, as a young entrepreneur or as young innovators, don't ever allow preparation and structure to take a back seat. You can be structured and prepared and still be innovative and creative. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ephraim, for sharing. And I do believe that when the entrepreneurs and the innovators and everyone else leaves this room, there is a lot that they've picked from what you just said. Now, allow me to call upon Miss Aminata Fatulo from UN Women to give us some few remarks, pretty much closing remarks of what this whole session was about, the takeaways, the key objectives, and of course, there she is. A round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you so much. Good afternoon. Oh, such a pleasure to be here. I don't know if I need to remind everyone of the reasons why we were here, but I do want to do something. I want to ask all the partners who've kindly joined us today to please stand up for recognition. All the mentors, please rise. Thank you so very much. I really wanted to make sure that you are duly acknowledged, because every single one of these, the people you've just seen standing up, are CEO of companies. Their time here, it's so valuable. If you wanted to ever meet them, you'll probably have to wait for a few weeks, maybe a few months, and maybe we will never get to meet them. So please take the time before you leave this room to connect even a bit more with every single one of them, because they are certainly doing or have done what some of you in this room are doing or aspire to be doing in the near future. So thank you so much, partners. We appreciate you. We appreciate the time you took today to share with our distinguished innovators who are going to transform Africa. As a matter of fact, they're already transforming it. So we thought about having this session, Connected Innovators, to bridge a gap. The gap is about opportunities for mentorship. It has been said several times since this morning, and I've just been in the session called Girl Tech Talk, and some of the recommendations were finding mentors. Mentors are so critical to our development as innovators, as career women, as career men. Mentors are critical just in personal development in general. So we thought that by taking the opportunity of Youth Connect and creating a platform for mentorship, we would be making a great contribution to the outcome of this summit. Now, I have to say, I'm a lifelong learner. I never stop learning. I'm the head of the UN Women, which is the UN agency in charge of women's rights. And I'm the head of UN Women here in Rwanda. And oftentimes I get the question, how do you become a head of a UN agency so young? Well, first of all, I'm not that young. But to answer the question, because there is a point to it, there was, at the beginning, a lot of determination. There was a lot of preparation. Thank you, Ephraim. Preparation. And there was something, the young man who spoke from Ghana, I can see you there. There was something about what he just did. You saw how he would not give up. He had a question, and even though Dr. Monique was ready to step down, he just said, I beg you. This is a plea. It's a 10-second question. So you never give up, and you never take no for an answer. I know I'm preaching to the choir, and I might be sharing a number of points that have come up in the discussions. But I wanted to add a few words of wisdom of myself, of what has helped me. If it sounds redundant, bear with me. If it's helpful, I hope you can take it away and explore it a bit more. So the first one that's been very helpful is to start with the end in mind. Having the clarity of the vision, breaking it down into workable, achievable targets. I know it sounds a bit difficult when you are starting anything, any idea, and you're thinking, okay, this idea is so big, where do I even start? So you always have to keep that end in mind, that objective, that goal you have for who you want to become and what contribution you want to make to your community, to your continent, to the world, as a matter of fact. So starting with that end in mind is very critical, and breaking it down into achievable targets, small bites. Someone said, you cannot eat an elephant in one go. You better cut it in pieces. So cut that goal in small bites. The second lesson that's been very useful for me is to ban the word impossible from your language. You just put impossible aside, and you ask a better question. The better question I find is, what would it take? What would it take for me to solve the water issue in my community, for me to create 50,000 jobs, for me to make millions of dollars, or for me to go to the moon? What would it take? And what resources do I need? And who are the people who could help me get there? So always, never say, take no, always ask, what would it take? I don't know how it happened to me, but impossible has never, ever been part of my language, my reality. I've always been about finding ways of doing things. And sometimes I did have to be a bit more realistic. I hit a couple of hurdles and realized that, well, this time it's not possible, but it was just that particular time. And then I forgot about it and went ahead with the mindset that it was always possible. To give you a concrete example of that, 23 years ago, I was at the Beijing Conference on Women as a youth delegate from Senegal. I was in a delegation of 100 women, mostly ministers and heads of companies and civil society leaders and so on. And one of the things that turned that meeting into a platform for me was showing up. The courage to show up. There was a break session for the youth, just a little bit like this, and the youths were supposed to meet every morning at 7 a.m. before any other meeting started to discuss our issues and have our common agenda and push for it. Now, there were no translation in that particular youth sort of session. And I'm a Francophone. Up until I was 30, I studied and worked in French exclusively. So at that time, I did not speak, I barely spoke English, but I showed up every day at that meeting. And whenever I had a point, I made it in my broken English at the time. And at some point, that group decided that I had to be their leader, and they wanted me to speak on their behalf. because I was showing up every day, never missed one meeting, and always made my point using sign language, if that was necessary. So, what I'm saying is that banning the word impossible is very, very important. Then continue to seek knowledge and to be teachable. You see, when you have ideas, it's easy to be impatient, and it's easy to think that you figured it all out. But I'm very confident that the young women and men I'm looking at today, by the mere fact that they are coming to Youth Connect Summit to broaden their networks, are highly teachable. They understand a basic principle that one has to keep learning, one has to keep growing, and one has to be prepared. There is in French a saying that il n'y a pas de vent favorable à un bateau qui n'a pas de destination. Donc, vous avez déjà votre destination et je vous souhaite d'avoir beaucoup de vent favorable. Then, it is important for those of you who are looking for jobs to be flexible. Quite often, you study something and then you end up doing something completely different. I think it's been shared also this morning. So having that open-mindedness and saying, well, let me do this for now, or this is what is available to me now, but this is where I'm going ultimately. It is very, very important. I can share with you after this session how I did that myself, how it came about in my own life. The most important message, though, is that it all beautifully comes together down the line. And you start asking yourself, oh, so that internship I did, you mean 25 years ago, is now becoming relevant. I may not be a finance specialist, but those finance courses I took, I'm a lawyer by training, but I made it a point to study also development economics, to study finance so I can read numbers. No one in my office can fool me with a budget. And when I first started in my position, because yes, I'm quite young for the position that I'm holding, I had people who thought that they could fool me with budget. They learned the hard way. So, be flexible, be steady if you are an entrepreneur, never give up, never give up. Believe in yourself. We believe in you certainly for making this investment today. And last but not least, use your mind. The mind is a powerful tool to design the world you want, to attract the right people, to attract the right opportunities. So never underestimate the power of your mind. So when we talk about changing mindset, we are talking about coding. Some of you are techpreneurs. We code computers, we create programs. But the best computer is right here. We come to the world with it. And the programs that we put inside determine how far we go in life, how high we reach. They determine whether we are able to come from a family where nobody has ever gone to school and then we reach high and touch the stars. This program that we have, this mind, is a powerful tool that helps us break through the barriers. It is what helps us be steady, be courageous, be brave, and never give up. So these are the few words I wanted to share with you. Again, thank you so much for the opportunity. I certainly learned a lot just sitting in this room and listening to the debriefing and some of the questions that came up. And I want to just wish you all well, and I hope these are not closing remarks. They are actually opening remarks. The conversation begins now. Thank you.
I think I'll keep myself down here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight, of course, for Meet the Minds. That was a very interesting conversation coming from Fatu. But as we close this, I just wanted you to go home with one thing in your mind. Now, by the year 2020, as according to McKinsey, they say that Africa has to create about 54 jobs if we go by the current trends. And this will put us at 72 million jobs. We have about 100 million youth that are out there looking for jobs every day. This is a task for you and I to create as many jobs as possible. But also, we should be the ones fighting to see that the governments can also make away with unnecessary regulations. This is not a call for Rwanda, it's not a call for Uganda or Kenya or Tanzania, but the whole of Africa. So if we're talking about connecting youth for continental transformation, this should be one of the most conversations brought to the table. As from myself, Michael Mjisha, thank you very much for joining us. Now, as you walk out, please walk slowly so that these entrepreneurs can speak to you. We know you don't have time, but just a little bit. Thank you very much. Have a good time.